Jurgen Klopp delivered Liverpool's first league title in 3 decades last year as his team battered Pep Guardiola's Manchester City by securing the domestic crown with a record-breaking 7 games to spare. It was initially suggested that it's only the beginning of a new era of domination for the Reds, but they've been unable to replicate the same levels of consistency they showed during their last campaign that ended with a Premier League and FIFA Club World Cup trophy. From genuine title contenders, the Merseyside club are now deemed as a club fighting for a Champions League qualification. A 5-match winless streak has seen the defending champions drop to the 5th spot at the time of writing and 7 points adrift of the table toppers, Manchester City. Nobody would have thought that the Merseyside club would struggle to win any of their upcoming league fixtures after their 7-0 goal fest against Crystal Palace at Selhurst Park before Christmas. More shockingly, the Reds were unable to score a single goal in their last 4 league meetings against bottom-half teams including Newcastle United, Southampton and Burnley with awful defensive records. Liverpool's 1-0 defeat against the Clarets, which ended their 68-match unbeaten home run, has caused a lot of unrest among the fans, while their FA Cup exit at United's hand has added insult to injury, forcing Klopp to provide an explanation. I didn't see any confidence problems against United, but what we said is when you don't score for a while, it's not good for your confidence, obviously. The best strikers in the world can tell you they all had moments when they didn't score with each chance, but it's all about how you deal with it. We are on it, believe me, and we will sort that. There's no doubt about my trust, but trust doesn't mean we're not critical of ourselves. It's not that I say you did everything right in the last few years, so now I don't care if you made some mistakes. That's not like this. We are really in the situation 100%, but you don't have to worry about us. As a group, we are really together, we know it, said Klopp. Many eyebrows were raised when Liverpool didn't sign a central defender, despite allowing Dejan Lovren to leave for the Russian Premier League club Zenit St. Petersburg last year. And after losing Virgil van Dijk and Joe Gomez to long-term knee injuries earlier this season, the fans started to blame the Fenway Sports Group for not backing up Klopp with enough cash to sign a long-term replacement for the Croatian defender during the summer transfer market. But then again, who would have thought that they were going to lose their 2 senior central defenders for such a long period due to injuries and leaving behind the injury-prone Joel Matip as their only option in the backline? Klopp is somehow managing with the crop of defenders at hand by rotating the defensive pairing in almost every match, which, by the way, has not proven to be too successful in shutting out opposition attacks. The likes of Rhys Williams and Nat Phillips have stepped up after being called upon for action from the youth team, while Jordan Henderson and Fabinho have filled in at centre-back in Matip's absence, but this system has weakened their midfield. Fabinho's usual role is to play as the deepest midfielder who cuts off opposition counter-attacks, while his excellent long ball distribution also helps to push teams into retreat. This change has affected Trent Alexander-Arnold on a big scale. With the Brazilian midfielder playing in defence, Liverpool's right-back is hesitant to make forward runs and deliver quality crosses into the box as much as the 22-year-old has been doing in the past. Henderson, on the other hand, acts as a box-to-box midfielder who drives Liverpool forward, setting a high tempo and ensuring the ball is perpetually forced into the final third. And when he's moved to defence, the Reds look clearly out of ideas. Similarly, you can notice how Thiago Alcantara has to play deeper than usual and try to cover a makeshift defence. Nothing's been the same for Liverpool since the injury to Van Dijk, and Klopp is well aware that any temporary solution to the existing defensive problem isn't enough if they're to even get close to where they ended last season. The fact that the Reds should have signed a cover for their talismanic defender is pinching the fans real hard, who must be thinking that Klopp might have had a long-term target in mind, which wasn't available during the summer, and the German tactician would make amends in January. Klopp, meanwhile, has shouldered the responsibility for current results and assured the fans of better results in the coming weeks. He admitted that they needed a centre-back, but conceded that any decision was out of his hands. I'm responsible for a big part of this football club, but there are people who are responsible for the whole thing and I cannot make their decision. I know they are with us and I know they want to support us, and they do. And it is not that I say, by the way, a centre-half would be really nice and they say, wow, a centre-half? Really? Why? So it's not like this. It is all clear. It is all on the table. We work on that, you can imagine. But I cannot spend the money. I don't make these decisions. There are people who are responsible for the whole thing, and I cannot make their decisions. These comments from the boss have raised some serious questions among the fans who are unable to understand if the owners have lost faith in Klopp after the former Borussia Dortmund coach brought in players like Marko Grujic, Takumi Minamino, Konstantinos Tsimikas, and Thiago Alcantara. Minamino was not called into action even when Liverpool were trailing in the last quarter of the cup encounter against the Red Devils. The Japanese midfielder remained an unused substitute during their 3-2 defeat at Old Trafford. Thiago's arrival lit up the world of Liverpool fans following his £25 million arrival from Bayern Munich, but the Spanish midfielder's return from injury has coincided with Liverpool's poor form. The 29-year-old midfield maestro is yet to justify his price tag after spending large periods on the treatment table. Fenway Group is known for making profitable business deals, and they've proven over the years after taking over from Tom Hicks and George Gillette that they'll never indulge in panic buying. They know that the problems aren't just in defence. Budget is surely a huge problem in this pandemic-ridden market, but even with their budget restricted, John Henry and Tom Werner should trust Klopp and bring in defensive reinforcements in January. According to reports from Spain, Bayern Munich's David Alaba is rumoured to be close to agreeing on a pre-contract agreement with the Spanish giants Real Madrid 6 months ahead of his deal with the Germans expiring in the summer. However, Klopp is desperate to get a hold of the Austrian defender and is reportedly trying to convince Liverpool's board not to give up on the versatile defender who can play in several different positions, including down the left flank. Liverpool, who've been without Van Dijk and Gomez for the majority of the campaign, are also believed to be weighing up a move for the Brighton and Hove Albion defender Ben White. The 23-year-old looks like a short-term solution to the defensive problems Liverpool are facing. Klopp isn't the one who sets the budget or the club's financial strategy, so he needs to be careful in this economic climate when handing out contracts to players. Talks over a new contract between Gini Wijnaldum and Liverpool have reached a stalemate. If Liverpool fail to convince the former Newcastle midfielder to extend his stay at Anfield, they risk losing him on a free this summer. Klopp wants to keep Wijnaldum at Anfield, but the versatile 30-year-old player hasn't signed a new deal, and he's keeping his options wide open, with reports suggesting Barcelona's Ronald Koeman wants to reunite with the Dutch international at Camp Nou. There's really nothing to say. I think I've said everything about how much I like the person and the player. That's not good or bad news, that's just how it is. If there is a decision, you will know it. The contract situation with Egyptian forward Mo Salah is not too alarming, but could get complicated when the 28-year-old striker enters the last year of his current contract. And knowing that Salah is wanted by the likes of Real Madrid and Barcelona, Liverpool need to act quickly and tie the former Roma forward to a new contract as early as possible. I do not know. If you ask, I say, I want to stay here as long as I can, but as I have said before, it is in the hands of the club. I will always give 100% to the last minute I am in this club, and I want to win as many trophies as I can, and I want to give 100% to the people who show me love all the time, Salah reflected on his contract situation. Sadly, it doesn't look like the Reds will be splashing the cash over the coming days, but one thing is certain, that they need to offer new contracts to Wijnaldum and Salah if they want them to perform at an optimum level and maintain the spine of the team that had such a memorable 2019-20 campaign. The Reds' winless streak in 5 matches has prompted everyone to blame Klopp for not fielding a consistent lineup, but add all the factors together and you'll get the answer to the question if this is the start of a permanent decline at Liverpool. However, at the same time, it should be worth mentioning that this is perhaps yet another test that Liverpool are meant to pass. All the great sides in the world go through periods of turbulence. If they're able to weather this storm, there's no telling how far this team could go.